Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk. And first off, just quick apologies. I said I was going to make this video sooner than I've actually made it. I've only just got a chance now. I'm having some problems with my truck. My truck's basically broken down. I've spent the last week trying to sort that out. I'm waiting on some parts now, so it'll give me a little bit of time to have a fiddle with something. And as I said in my previous video, we do something a little bit different. And I haven't done a vintage radio on the channel for a while. I've got that little transistor one that I've still got to finish off. I've just got to get some wood stain for that so I can finish the cabinet and we can get that one finished. But this is a bit of a chance one. We've got here, I've got the trader sheet already printed out for this. This is a Murphy A24. This is from 1934. And believe it or not, I actually found this in a rubbish skip. I found this about probably about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago now. It's actually been sat in the living room in front of the fire drying out, because when I got this thing it was soaking wet. Basically I'd been over to a friend's house on a Sunday morning and I was driving back home, and they'd been clearing out one of the terraced houses near me, and there was a big rubbish skip in the road in front of it, and this was literally sat on top of the rubbish skip, like one of the last things they'd thrown on the skip before before going for the day. And I pulled my truck up, got out and popped it in the back of my truck. Now I'm sure there's people saying, wow, why didn't someone stick something like that straight on eBay? I'm sure, you know, first thing anyone found a radio like this, even if they were just clearing a house out, and ooh, eBay fodder. They probably would have if it wasn't for one thing, and this is, I'm sure, the reason why they just thought, sod it, throw it in the skip. Wherever this was stored was obviously very, very, very damp, and it was stored basically on its side like that, probably for a very, very long time. And if I turn it round, and I will say that now this is monumentously heavy. This is a very, very, very heavy radio. Basically this entire side of the cabinet is gone. I know it just looks like the veneer here is a bit flaky, but believe you me, the plies are delaminating. If I'm going to restore this radio, this entire side of the radio is going to need replacing and then re-veneering. Like I said, that's probably why this ended up just being thrown on a skip rather than someone taking it to stick on eBay. But what this means is basically I'm not going to throw any money at the cabinet on this thing unless I actually know that there's nothing majorly wrong with the electronics in there. You know, if we've got a failed mains transformer, you know, a lot of bad valves in it, I'm not bothered if there's just perhaps one failed valve or something. Rec speaker, you know, things like that which are going to, or, you know, damage the actual tuning gang or anything like that, open circuit coils, anything that's going to make this a real chore and a headache of a radio to restore, really kind of makes it more of a parts set. However, if the insides are basically restorable, I will then attempt to see what we can do about the cabinet. Now, although I don't have any veneer exactly like this, I can order a piece of veneer. I do have the correct like 3-ply, or is it a 5-ply? This is a 5-ply here, but I do have some of this correct 1/4-inch ply to actually make a complete new side for there, so that is doable. But what we're going to do in this video is we're just going to do a basic initial assessment on the radio. I doubt we'll actually get the radio playing in this video. There are going to be a hell of a lot of bad leak capacitors in here, but you never know. It depends what we find when we actually crack in and have a look inside this thing. is that I've not worked on a really early set like this for a fair bit of time. I've done a few 30s sets. I've got McMitchell in 1935, McMitchell in the living room. I've got a load of 30s sets actually unrestored that I've been keeping for when I've got more time, when I can actually really sit down and enjoy restoring them. But like I said, this was just a surprise find, really. Like I said, it was a freebie. Let's get the back off it and we'll have a look inside it and see how bad it is inside it. Well, to be honest, I have been inside it. I did whiz the back off it as soon as I got it. I just quickly unscrewed the back and had a poke inside it. Didn't seem much out of place, to be honest. I then screwed the back on. Like I said, it's been in the living room for I think about 3 weeks now, just slowly drying out, and it has got all the damp out of the cabinet now. It's completely dry. Right, so that's the back removed. I mean, unlike later sets, we've got a proper solid actual wooden back there with a piece of cloth actually set in it, rather like later sets generally had a piece of fibreboard as a back. So that's it's a nice, shows, I mean, it's a Murphy quality sets. Right, I'll get you repositioned. I'll get you down so you can actually see a little bit better what's inside. But this, I mean, like I said, for a set that's just been found, it's not actually too bad. Right, hopefully that's a little bit better. I've just tried to get the lighting a little bit more so you can actually see inside the radio. And really, it looks pretty damn good in there, doesn't it, for something that was dug out of a skip. Obviously, our mains lead's been chopped off. That's not a major problem. We would have to replace that anyway, because I'm sure that'll. Actually, that feels amazingly flexible for the age of it, for that old cloth-covered wiring. What I can notice is that the bulb seems to be missing for the dial illumination. That's just lying on the top there. Also, the connections for the speaker are disconnected, and this cable is bad. This is, if you can make that out here, that has completely perished. And we have two lots of connections coming off the speaker, which would say to me that is probably a mains energised speaker up there. Basically that means it doesn't have a permanent magnet like later speakers. You've got an electromagnet in place of that permanent magnet, which will probably also be in the choke circuit for the power supply, because that's usually how it was done on these older sets. So that's going, I mean, that wiring, that's going to be shorting internally, as I expect, so that is definitely going to need addressing. Apart from that, and yeah, all the wiring I can see in here looks pretty much the same. It's in a very poor state. It's all crumbling, it's cracking. It must be quite early rubberized wiring. I mean, it's a fairly early set, this 1934. I think the next thing we really need to do, let's have a look at the valves. Now, this will be pre-octal, so what have we got here? The Mazda, that's an AC pen, so that's our output valve there. I'm guessing that behind it will be the rectifier valve. I'm guessing that's the rectifier there. It's a 4-pin valve, so that's fairly typical of a rectifier. I can't actually make out the part number on it, but we can look that up on the trader sheet there anyway. They've actually used a 5-pin base for that, so I'm hoping that that is correct, because that's actually a 5-pin base in there, I've just noticed. Again, we can refer to the trader sheet to check things like that out. I'll pop him back in for now. Well, in fact, we might just no, they'll be perfectly safe in the sockets. Actually, in fact, they're probably safer in the sockets than out on the bench, because I've done this before when I've been working on a set and I've taken the valves out, not noticed, not one on the floor, and smash. And things like the AC pen there are they're not getting any cheaper. Those are getting quite pricey now. But apart from that, there's a few cobwebs in here. And the obvious damage to this side, like I said, that's the side we're going to, if indeed, you know, it turns out that the radio is fairly viable to restore, that's the side that we're going to need to do all the work on. Let's, dear me, it is heavy. Now I'm hoping that the knobs generally should just pull off on this. But the problem is, like I said, this has been kept in a damp environment, and the knobs can actually freeze on, which it does look like. That one doesn't feel too bad. That one's seized. That one doesn't feel too bad. What you don't want to do, what you absolutely don't want to do, which is take a screwdriver, stick it behind the knob like that and just try and lever it like that. You'll damage the actual veneer on the cabinet and you're most likely just going to break the knob off. There are ways and means for us to be able to ease these knobs off. Let's have a quick look underneath the radio, something I haven't actually done, and see if it's got an inspection hole, because a lot of these 30 sets, the bottom of the radio actually has an inspection hole, so we can actually have a look underneath the chassis without taking it out of the cabinet. And unfortunately in this instance it hasn't. There isn't actually an access plate on the bottom there. What that has just shown me though is it's missing the 4 fixings that actually hold the chassis to the cabinet. So essentially the only thing holding it in is these is the control knobs. Ooh. There's some damage to the veneer on the front there, but I stand a fairly good chance of being able to save that. It's not too terrible. Slightly delaminated at the bottom there, but I can fix that. It's this side that's really, really bad. Yeah, the chassis is completely loose actually in the cabinet. Like I said, unfortunately these control knobs seem to be completely frozen in place, and they are the push-on variety rather than the variety with a little screw to hold them in place. No, there's no sign of any fixing screw. So what I will do is I will get a little bit of WD-40. I'm just going to squirt a little bit of WD-40 behind each knob. We'll give it about a good 40 minutes, an hour to soak in, and then I'll show you a little trick to see if we can get the knobs off. So back in a sec. Okay, I'm an idiot. I got my card all ready. Sprayed down the control knobs. Thought, oh, I'll give that a good 10-15 minutes. I started reading the trader sheet while I was waiting for that to soak in. I got to disassemble and it said, step 1, remove the nut from the centre. You just basically unscrew the centre nut there, and the knob comes straight off. So no matter how much I'd soaked it, it's a good job I read the trader sheet, there's disassembly instructions, because if I'd have done what I normally do, like I said, a lot of people try and lever from there and you break the knob. What I tend to do is take a piece of card like that, wrap it around the knob and then gently pull. Well, I'd have been pulling forever, wouldn't I? I mean, all you have to do, unscrew that little nut from the centre there and they just pull straight off. So I have a feeling there is definitely something wrong with this radio. This radio has already had someone be in here, otherwise then cables wouldn't have been disconnected like that. Look, every one just pops straight off. Right, now hopefully we should be able to pull the chassis straight out of the cabinet now. Oh, we've just pulled the top right off that IF cam. Damn. Actually, well, not that much of a dam. It obviously is designed to come straight off, and wow, that is really quite nice in there. Yeah, they just push straight on like that. That's nice. Let's see if we can get the chassis to come out. Out you come. I wonder how long ago this thing was last looked at and probably put away, condemned, or we'll repair it one day. That is one of the speaker connections. We'll look at those shortly, but let's get the chassis out first. We've got. I wish you could appreciate exactly how heavy this chassis is as well. It is very, very, very heavy. Right, we'll put the chassis to one side for a sec, and we'll take a very quick look at the cabinet. Now, apart from the damage to this side, actually the cabinet is really quite good. There is no sign of any worm damage at all whatsoever, not old or new. There's a little bit of like a white fungus on that side, but that would be the side we'd be replacing anyway. Apart from that, we've lost a glue block there. That's dropped out of the cabinet, but that's easy to stick back. Apart from that, the cabinet is actually amazing for you know, being lying somewhere damp for many, many years. In fact, what we will do just quickly, I want to check the continuity on the voice coil and the field coil on the speaker, just to see if they've got any chance of actually working as they are. We need some form of test meter. I think, seeing we're working on a 30s radio, we'll use a good old-fashioned analog one. I need a couple of test leads to plug into it. Ooh, what have we got there? Yeah, they'll do. Right. Let's set that to the ohms range. That should be about right. Go in common. There. In fact, I want to go down a bit because these are going to be around, yeah, around about there, I think. That's working. This is the voice coil. So this actually isn't as crucial if this isn't working. And we've got a bad connection there, but I think we actually do have continuity across the yeah, I think we've got continuity across the voice coil there. Let's have a look at the field coil. And so this is what would be a permanent magnet on a later speaker. Got anything there at all? Oh yeah. There we go. Excellent. So it looks like we've actually got a working field coil as well. See, that was my worry. One of the things that does tend to fail on these old speakers is that field coil. So we do have a working voice coil and a working field coil. Or, actually, I don't think they probably aren't shorted then. They will do eventually. We'll keep moving them, but we weren't getting a short circuit there. We were actually getting an ohms reading. So I'm quite confident actually that voice coil and that field coil should be okay. We've obviously got some, yeah, we've got some intermittent connection. Oh, hang on. Yeah, we seem to have around about 6 or 7 ohms there, so that looks about right. And this should be in the hundreds of ohms, really, I'd expect. Yeah, 200, yeah, about 200-ish ohms there. So that looks about right for the field coil. Excellent. So let's put the cabinet out of the way. That doesn't necessarily mean that that speaker is going to be any good. I mean, we don't know actually what state the cone's in, whether it's frozen or not, but at least electrically it will work. Having the field coil working is the best part of that, really. So we could substitute another speaker in and still retain that field coil. I've actually done that a few times in radios. Okay, this is basically the main event. This is our 1934 chassis. Got a geared tuning scale there. That is fantastic, and that's still in really, really nice condition. Yeah, that's nice. I do see some wax on the front of the mains transformer there, but not a mega amount actually. What else can we see? We have just basically light surface rust all around the chassis. Nothing more actually. I'm quite surprised. The plating, whatever plating they used on this chassis, has actually done a fairly good chance, a fairly good job of protecting it. That McMitchell that I've got in the living room, I actually need to do a little bit of work on that because I think it's got a few tired valves in it. That actually spent a long time in a milking shed, believe it or not, being used to play music to the cattle, no doubt. But that was in a very, very, very bad state. There was no plating at all left on the chassis on that. I actually ended up stripping it and repainting the chassis. But I did get that one playing again. This one's actually in much nicer state actually. Right, let's have a quick look underneath. I'm not going to do any major damage here. Right, wow. And I have to say, I presume that's the on-off switch there. So a turn switch. It just basically switches a little toggle switch down there. I'm guessing that's the on-off switch. Then we'll have this is a super headset, so oh, hey, what's this? Something. We've actually got. Hang on, let me see if we can get the camera. Whether the camera's going to actually focus in on this. Oops. Can you make that out down there? Someone's actually scratched into the paintwork. This is I'm guessing that's the main capacitor block. If you notice, there's very few actual capacitors on the set, and they tended to basically build them all into one big block. But that says something B, I think, is it Penrith? I think that might be 1954. Actually marked, scratched into the paintwork there. There's also something on the front here. A something. It's been done in pencil, unfortunately. It seems to be very, very faint now, but it's... Again, we've got a 1954, A 1954. I'm not sure what that's referring to, because I mean this radio is much older than 1954. This is a 1934 set, so that's 20 years older. Absolutely battleship construction. The chassis is such a thick steel that was actually used for the chassis in comparison to even like 1950s sets. Well, I mean, you can cut the chassis with a pair of tin shears. This you need a bloody hacksaw or an angle grinder to get through it. I'm not sure what that transformer there is going to be. We'll have to look that up. It'll probably be some kind of choke. Obviously we've got a mains transformer at the top there. We've got a few of the mica style capacitors that don't usually cause many issues. That's weird. Now, I was under the impression that these sets were too right, so to change waveband, you actually pull that out to change waveband. Because that'll disconnect that from that. I'm not sure how you actually change between long wave and medium wave on this set. It is a dual band set. I saw that from the trader sheet, but I'm not 100% sure how we're actually going to how you actually change between long wave and medium wave. That's definitely the on-off switch by the look of it. It activates, yeah, because that's the mains cable in, is it there? I'll have to look at that. That comes, no, there's the mains in. That goes along there. Yeah, because we're switching the neutral. That's seems to be fairly standard on these old sets. Aha. Well, that's the wiring for the dial light. That's it. That would fit on there like that. I'm guessing it'll have a 6.3 volt bulb, but I can find that out. It's either going to be like 5 volt or 6.3 volt, but that's missing. We can find a replacement for that. The wiring is in a shocking state. That'll all need replacing. That's the wiring for the field coil. That actually all looks fairly good. My concern is this mains transformer, to be honest. It's got a lot of wax seeming to have been melting from it, but then again it also has two rather hot valves right in front of it. We'll pop them out for a second and we can have a quick look at this mains transformer. That's our voltage selection tab. It was actually set correctly for our current voltages. It's set on the 233 to 250 volt setting there. It will go from 200 volts to 214, 215 to 232, and then 233 to 250. So it's fine to use on the top setting there. It's fine in our modern voltages. But I'm not liking the amount of wax that's been dripping out of that transformer. There's a lot of wax come out of that. I'm wondering if perhaps we've got shorted turns in the mains transformer, which could be the reason why the set was actually retired. Let's see if we've got anything sensible when we try it. Just put the meter across here, and if we get a dead short, we know we've got some problems. If we get anything more than a dead short, then we can I think probably what we'll do in the next video actually is, providing we don't get an absolute dead short on here, we might actually look at warming the chassis up using the variac and lamp limiter and see what it does. But I'm not liking the look of that mains transformer there. It's got a lot of wax been oozing out of it over the years, and that will be it will produce more than just like one filament voltage. I'm expecting like the rectifier probably runs on 4 or 5 volts. The rest of the tubes I think will run on 6 volts. What I will do as well is also I will sit down, I will take that trader sheet up as my bedtime reading material. I can actually go through it properly. This is actually proper old school cloth covered cable. It's a shame that's actually been cut off, because there's actually probably a fairly good chance that that cable's reasonable. I mean, I wouldn't have it on a radio as to going to sell to anyone, but if that had been of a decent length, I might have actually kept that on for a set in my collection. But not much use when it's chopped down like that. Let's have see if we're getting anything across there that looks sensible. Try switching on. Let's we know that that's going to be one of the inputs there. Right, let's have a look. Basically going across the tappings on the primary of the transformer here. We're okay there. So I have a feeling the primary might be alright. Let's check on the secondaries. Should be able to do that from the valve base. Okay. Transformer, to be honest, I have a feeling that this mains transformer is bad. I can't be certain for now because I'm just trying across a couple of the windings, but I think what we'll do in the next video, the primary is definitely not short circuit or open circuit. So like I say, I think what we'll probably do in the next video is actually sort this out a bit better, because obviously we can't just connect something up to that. Actually, we might be able to actually. But basically what we'll do is we will run this up on the variac, and we'll see what we can get actually out, or we'll pull the valves out, and we'll just run the mains transformer. Like I said, we'll put a lamp limiter on it, we'll put the variac on it, we'll bring it up to voltage, and we'll just see if we get any sensible voltages coming out of that, because that will really determine how we go with this thing. There's a possibility I've got a transformer on a scrap set we could fit to this. It would be a newer transformer than this. It's wouldn't be age correct, but I think it'll probably produce the voltage we need, because it's only a few years. It's off a set that was scrapped that's only a few years later than this one. So that we may be able to look at that. It may be okay. It may have just been stressed in the past, and we could very well have these capacitors here completely shorted. That's going to put a lot of stress on the mains transformer and cause it to overheat. I have seen transformers before which have this kind of wax damage, and they've actually still worked alright. It's one of them things that you just don't know until we try it, and I think that's what we'll do in the next video. Is I'll get a few more bits and bobs out, and we'll actually pull all the rest of the valves out of this thing, and we'll set it up so we can actually test that mains transformer and see whether that mains transformer is actually going to work for us. If we can get away with that, we'll see if we can get some of these capacitors to reform, and we might actually be able to see if we can get the radio to possibly play. Especially seeing that we've found that, like I said, the voice coil's not open circuit, the field coil's not open circuit. The primary on that doesn't look to be open circuit from what I can see, just quickly checking with the meter, which is a good sign. It's just that amount of wax that's actually been spilling out of there that's making me slightly hesitant on the thing. But it'll be interesting to find out. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I said, I'll hopefully have another video up on this reasonably soon. It all depends on what work I currently end up having to do on my truck anyway, and how far I get on with that. So I thought I'd put an update up anyway, like I said, because I don't like leaving it for too long. I mean, people, if I say I'm going to put a video up and I don't, I think you're letting some of my viewers down a little bit. Like I said, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little, I'd say, a future project. I don't think I'm going to be diving into this thing immediately, but I'd be interested to know whether it's going to be viable or not, whether that's going to work, or whether I'm going to have to see what I can do about finding a replacement for that transformer. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.